Weird stuff, Mr. Ellis thinks. Why did I have to get mixed up with the Enterprise and their weird stuff? Dr. McCoy, not at all pleased to be in the same room as this madman. James T. Kirk, looking very concerned. Mr. Spock, wondering how they can surmount this problem.
All right, Trelane, why don't we end this farce? I'm the one who humiliated you. I'm the reason your parents punished you. Let the others and their ships go free.
Last time, Captain, you cheated. But if your friends are here, maybe you won't cheat.
I can suggest no logical course of action that can resolve this dilemma.
This is hardly a logical situation, Mr. Spock.
Indeed. Still, I wonder if Trelane realizes the extent of his misrepresentation.
Well, this is another fine mess we're in, Jim.
Any ideas on how to get out of this, Bones?
Well, looking at it from a medical perspective, we might view Trelane as a biological control network. And everything else that's going on is controlled by Trelane.
And?
What happens if Trelane loses control? Immaturity does seem to be Trelane's only weakness.
That's dangerous, Bones.
Like playing with a phaser on overload, but that's the only thing I can think of right now.
Well, how does the great James T. Kirk get us out of this mess? Or the ones who will get out of this mess alive?
None of us will get out of here alive if we don't stick together. Do you have any ideas, Mr. Ellis?
Have you ever played hide and seek, Captain? From what you've told me, he's a cosmic child hiding from his parents. If I were his parents, I wouldn't leave him alone for a minute. I'll bet my life that someone's looking for him, Captain.
You just might be right, Mr. Ellis.
Captain, the painting is another power object. Is it really necessary to use firearms?
It's a power object. You remember what happened the last time I shot one of his power objects?
Yes, it was destroyed. Trelane's power faded until he activated a secondary power object. We need to find a more permanent solution, Captain. Captain, using that so close to the Enterprise is inadvisable.
Well, Captain, I suppose you're about to make your grand plan of escape.
You must think you're pretty clever, Trelane, with your replica of the First World War. Why should I have to make a grand plan to escape from a loser like you? I don't have to do anything. Eventually, your parents are going to find you and discipline you again. You must think you're pretty clever. Why? I don't have to do anything. Eventually, your parents are going to find you and discipline you again.
Fortunately, Kirk, my parents are otherwise occupied. They won't interrupt me when I'm winning.
But you have to compete first before you can win. Send the others away safely, and I'll give you a chance at revenge. That's odd. I was sure I detected other power sources converging towards us when I was on the Enterprise. You weren't winning, Trelane. You never were. You had tremendous powers, you had a weapon, and I didn't. And you still fell on your face. But you have to... That's odd. I was sure I detected other power sources converging towards us when I was on the Enterprise.
No, you didn't. It's nowhere near me. But there's no harm in making sure we aren't seen. She's gone. Now I have to think of the proper way to destroy my enemies. You have a brief respite before your destruction. Well, Captain, I suppose you're about to make your grand plan of escape.
You must think you're pretty clever, Trelane, with your replica of the First World War. Why should I have to make a grand... I don't have to do anything. You must think you're pretty clever, Trelane, with your replica of the First World War.
Why, thank you, Captain.
I wasn't complimenting you, Trelane. I've never seen such a piece of nonsense in my life. Although you could have made that trench scene much more realistic. If World War I had been the way you depicted, human history would have been a lot less bloody. Although you could have made that trench scene much more realistic.
Really, Captain?
Look into the memory banks of the Enterprise, Trelane. Recreate what's in there, and let me show you firsthand The glory of one of the bloodiest conflicts in human history. Not a liar, just misinformed. Use the memory banks of the Enterprise, Trelane. Recreate what's in there. War at its most realistic and terrifying.
Trelane, the Baron of Gothos seems delighted by what he is seeing. Kirk struggles to find the words to adequately describe this Holocaust. A dead French soldier. He survived a mustard gas attack at Ypres, but in this war, luck is not on anyone's side. A German soldier. He had lost his 3 brothers at Verdun and had considered mutinying, but feared disgrace more than the loss of his own life. A German soldier. Though you couldn't tell it from the color of his uniform, mud has a way of making them all look the same. A dead French soldier. In his hands, he cradles a letter from his fiancée. Rain has been falling for hours, ever since the battle ended. Otherwise, all is quiet on the Western Front. Rain has been falling for hours.
Captain Kirk, I hope you had a good reason for dragging me out in the mud in the middle of the rain.
Look around you, Trelane. Is this glory? Is this valor? Smell the stench of death. While knights fought in the sky, millions died in the mud. Diseased, starving, mutilated. Is this the sort of game you want to play, Trelane? For once in your life, Trelane, shut up and look around you. Look around, Trelane. Take in the ambience, the romance of this place. Look at the proud soldiers celebrating the glories of war. Look around you, Trelane. Is this glory? Is this valor? Smell the stench of death. While knights fought in the sky, millions died in the mud. Diseased, starving, mutilated. Is this the sort of game you want to play, Trelane?
But these people lost, Kirk. Shame and suffering is supposed to befall the losers in war.
These were the winners, Trelane. You're inhuman, Trelane. You play games with people and ignore their suffering, just like the people who sent these men to die. You should have been a politician. If you have any real courage, Trelane, if you want to experience real warfare, put yourself in their place. No powers, no titles. Experience the glory of war firsthand, like these men did. These were the winners. If you have any real courage...
But aren't you inferiors supposed to die like that? Aren't you supposed to throw your lives away in futile wars? Or die as meaningless non-entities? Dying a useless death without glory?
No one is useless, Trelane, and no one wants to throw away their life in a futile war. We've changed, Trelane. We've grown up. It's time you did too.
You're no fun anymore, Kirk. No fun at all. You're preachy just like them. Anything I'm interested in is always wrong.
Release my ship. Trelane, look around you. Does this look right to you? Trelane, you don't go around hurting people and expect them to treat it as though they're having fun. The first thing a life form learns is to avoid pain. Release my Trelane. You don't go around hurting people and expect them to treat it as though they're having fun. The first thing a life form learns is to avoid pain.
Then how do you explain this delightful scene around us?
Some politicians decided that the only way to avoid getting hurt was to send other people out to get hurt. We've tried to outgrow that. Not always successfully, as Mr. Ellis might tell you, but we try.
Captain, yours is a most confusing species. Perhaps I should spend some time thinking about it before I talk with you again.
Captain's log. Missing starships have been restored to normal size and are about to return to their assigned missions. It was horrible, Mr. Spock. Trelane recreated one of the greatest tragedies in human history. I've seen a lot, but even that...
The waste of lives is appalling, even when one operates by pure logic. When one considers what those millions of lives that were lost might have done for humanity had the war never taken place.
Well, now that we've taken care of business... Ow! I'll have to see Dr. McCoy about my shoulder.
Something happened, Captain?
Mr. Ellis and I.
I see. Are your differences settled?
I'm afraid not, Mr. Spock. We each won a game of zero-G squash, but I'm afraid he was called back to the Zimbabwe before we could have a rubber match. I think I dislocated my shoulder with a rather wild swing in the second game.
Then logic suggests that your injury would have caused you to lose the match.
I suppose so. He's a good player and a good officer. I'm putting in a request to bring him on the Enterprise.
That should be fascinating.
Hello, Captain. I'm Captain Gernsbeck of the Shinobi. I thought I would thank you personally before we left for Cepheus 5.
A pleasure to meet you, Captain.
Have we met before, Captain? There's something familiar.
Perhaps we did, on some other planet, in some other star system, sometime long ago.
Message from Starfleet Command.
On screen.
I've reviewed your report from your recent assignment, Captain, and have a few comments. I am very pleased with your performance. It was a perfect mission, Jim. Your reputation as Starfleet's best starship captain is secure. Kane out.